Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's June 23rd. This will be a chart lesson for today, and just a quick look at the daily chart. You can see we're still just working sideways here. Up day today, but we continue to have kind of an up day, down day, whatever. We're just kind of working sideways here. So will we continue to go higher tomorrow? We'll have to see. This just looks like sideways congestion really to me, tight range. So um, we could probably actually draw a trend channel across here. And it looks like we're trading in this trend channel here. So that's kind of how I see it as of now. This might be just a tad higher. So we'll see if we continue to stay in this range or if we push on lower here tomorrow. It's hard to know what this market's going to do. Just be careful right now. Make sure. I mean, you should always trade with a safety stop. I should never have to say that, but I say it anyway because some people um, do not trade smartly. But always trade with a safety stop, and always put it where we teach you to put it, one tick above or below your signal bar. Obviously, which side would depend on which direction you're trading. If you're going short, you always put your safety stop one tick above the signal bar. If you're going long, you always put your safety stop one tick below the signal bar. And that's the safest place to put it. That's the most important place to put it. And, even if it's a large bar, the worst you're going to do is take a loss. You're not going to get wiped out. You're not going to get uh, something too crazy is not going to happen to you. So always trade with those safety stops, and that's probably enough about that. But there it is. Mostly bullish day. It was a weird day because we traded up, then sold off, and then traded up again. So it was kind of two legs up today. That could mean we may see some follow through tomorrow, but it could mean we turn down tomorrow because the market tends to move in twos. But let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart and take a look at what that looked like on that chart, and we'll go through the trades and see how today plays out. Okay, here it is, and it is after 4 o'clock, so the market's closed right now. We won't open back up for another 35 minutes or so. It's a little bit after, it's about 4:25 or so. But you can see we had the trend up, and then we turned down, and then we traded back up and went to new highs and closes very close to the highs. So interesting day, really. Looked like rally was going to turn into a sell-off, but it just didn't happen when the market took it all back pretty quickly. There was really no news today. This is all stuff for tomorrow. Um, and there's not much you can do about these guys testifying. I generally don't worry too much about that. So um, doesn't mean something couldn't happen. So be alert. But generally there's this, generally those are not much happens in those, and you wouldn't know when he was going to say what might happen is he may during his testimony or while he's testifying. Um, he may say something that spooks the market or excites the market or whatever. But the problem is you don't know when he'll say it or if he'll say it at all. So it's not like right at that news item you're going to get something that tells you, okay, I need to be flat before this comes out. So generally you don't have much happen with that. It's not to say that it couldn't. So always trade with your safety stop, as I just told you in the a few minutes ago, and you should be good to go. But let's zoom on in here and we'll go through the trades. Early on we were in this two-tiered up trend, and you can see we got the break and we corrected quite a bit before we actually moved to a new high, and then just kind of traded sideways, where right before the close we traded up a little more. Pretty typical price action. This correction might be a little bigger than what you'd normally expect, but other than that, this is a typical price action. You get a break of the two-tiered up channel and you get a move to a new high, and then it traded sideways for the rest of the day for the most part until just before the close it kind of rallied up. But that's people probably exiting, and just nothing too out of the ordinary. But 7 o'clock came right in here somewhere. I can't remember exactly where it was. think it was this bar. Yeah, 7 o'clock. We hit the 7 o'clock hour somewhere between these two bars here, and we're working down, close outside, new low. We worked higher, working higher, close, move to a new high. And that's a second entry short. I like going short there. Just one tick below that, and that's a quick, easy scalp. It's just a first entry there, and then we bounce right off the key entry point again. This is a spike and channel up. Let me show you this. You can see we gapped open, we gapped lower, and then we took all that back and filled that gap before we went higher. But this is a spike and channel, two-tiered channel that worked higher. So yeah, we're bouncing right off the key entry point. Notice you got a new high there, and you get a first entry, and then it's technically the second entry really triggered here, but this ended up going lower again and turning up. So I think you can still enter there with no problems right off the key entry point. That would actually works a little bit as a trap, and it takes off that. And if you can catch that one, you could probably ride this up all the way. It's another spike and channel up, really, and you could ride that all the way up, and that's a really tight, strong trend when you see that. So if you can get on board with that, try to hold on as long as you can. And these are all just kind of first entries all the way up till finally. I would treat this as a double top. That's just sideways action. So that's your first leg down, first entry, then another pullback. So a break above that bar is a second entry long, and you're looking for a retest of these highs at a minimum, and you can see we got that, and then we turned down again. And this bar is like 8 or 9, yeah, 9 ticks. So very low risk entry, great place to enter, and another nice quick trade. Now there's a second entry short up here, but that's an inside bar. The rest of these, I don't see anything here I really like. Now there was a second entry here, but you'd have to enter on the engulfing bar, and it's not a very good setup. So, but we run all the way back down, and notice we get a close outside and a new low here. We basically get a 2-bar matching low. I think that's close enough. It wasn't quite back to the trend line. And it's not a second entry. It's like a first entry, second entry, third entry. It's like a fourth entry. So I did mark it green, but I still like going long there. If you took that, it's a little risky, but I think you can justify that one. That's the kind of you want to take if you're going to be risky. And then we run up, close outside, a couple of legs up to a new high, and we turn down. No setups there. Finally here you get a first entry, second entry, and a nice signal bar. I like going short there. Just make sure you got enough room to get out between here and that previous low there. There's another second entry here, but that's just sideways. I didn't draw the little channel, but there's not a setup there you can really go short on. Doesn't matter. So that's an inside bar anyway on the second entry short. And then it runs up, and then by the time you can go short there, you're right back to the lows again, and you can see you're just kind of chopping sideways. And then you drop down and you're doing the same thing again, just at a lower level. And again, I don't really see anything you can trade there, long or short. And finally you get a break, and the bottom just falls out of this thing. Now, I didn't mark anything coming down here, but this is another one of those strong trends. You probably couldn't tell that until about here. So from here on, any signal bar that comes back to the key entry point that's a good signal bar, you can probably enter that trade. I don't know if that one, does that close? It probably closes in the lower one there, but it doesn't break below it anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. You could have actually entered this on the engulfing bar because it broke higher first and turned down, and that's mostly green. So yeah, you might could still take that one. And then we reverse down here, and I think you need a higher low to enter down here, and I don't see anything there. This is too congested. And then now we're working higher again. And once again, this you've already got your break here, so all of these are kind of suspect until it reverses here. And you might go short on this lower high here. Um, I'm not crazy about it, but I mean, we do have the break down here and a couple of swings to a new high. So you may go short there, being that far away from the EMA. But you get a first entry here, and you make another new low, and then you get a first entry, second entry. And you could argue there's a triple test there and here as well. I like going short on the second entry. The lower high, I'm not as crazy about. The triple test lower high here. You could still argue for it. This should actually be a little lower. And we are making lower highs each time and pretty much lower lows. So that's more of a reason to maybe consider entering that one. And it is a triple test. The problem is there's not a lot of room there to scalp out. And you got to make sure you got enough room. And I mean, there's 2 points there, so I think you're okay. I did mark it green. You might argue it's close to being red. But it's really sideways there, and it could come back. And you see it doesn't go far before it does reverse. And then we're working up. And you actually get another spiking channel here. I don't see anything that I would want to trade up or down here. Maybe you might take a short here. Does that close in the lower 1/3? I don't know. It is a second entry short after a close outside and 2 swings to a new high. It's a possibility, depending on your signal bar, and then it reverses and you get this spiking channel here. Now, once again, right about in here, you start to realize, hey, this is another one of those strong trends. And so every signal bar that comes back, you might enter. Again, this one doesn't qualify. Again, it breaks lower first and then turns up. So maybe you enter it on, so maybe you mark that one too and enter on the engulfing bar. If you wait till it closes, you can't enter. So it's a possibility as well. Just make sure you understand that. The only way you could enter this would be on the engulfing bar. And that's 90% of you should just ignore engulfing bars. Don't try to enter on them because they're tricky and you'll end up having more losses. Wait till just as you organically get better at this, you'll start to kind of get a feel for those. But that's after you get a lot of screen time and experience, and that's really what you need to understand engulfing bars. Just watch them and keep up with them and see how they react and start to learn from them as you get experience. Quick pullback is second entry here. There's definitely a leg down, a correction, and is that another leg down? It's hard to say, but it's still a second entry when you're looking for a retest of the high. As long as you got room to scalp out, take that trade. It turns down, gives you a first entry, pulls back, and a break above. That's another second entry. Again, I say you have to just pretty much go long there. And then it's pretty obvious. You get another repeat pattern, same thing. Working down, close outside, new low. So you've seen that 3 times in a row there. Take it. When you see those repeat patterns, they tend to work the same every time. And definitely these two, they're all pretty much the same. And then you get a higher low here as well. I like it. Now you're working up. Maybe you get a close outside there. It's hard to tell, but you never really get a new high and it's working lower. Now there is a second entry short there. Notice that low, first entry, second entry. But I think that's too sideways and congested. I think you just have to sit tight. If you'd have taken it, it would have eventually worked. But I think you just sit tight on that one and wait and see what happens. We work our way on down, and then we bounce off the lows, and we break out up here at the top, and it's a failure, of course, and it comes right back in. I don't see any setups there, but you got a trend working down, close outside and a new low, and that would be a second entry long on a break above that. I do like going long there because you can see the channel working down, close outside, move to a new low, and a break above that's a second entry long. So that's a nice entry, and that takes you into 230. So yeah, you got your trend working up, close outside. It's a bigger correction than what you would normally expect, but that happens sometimes. But it still plays out. We run to a new high, and once we get it there, we just kind of work sideways for the next. I mean, we make that new high around 12:30, and we just work sideways and into 2:30. So that's 2 hours. So now you've had enough time that you've had a correction, so you could either turn lower or turn higher here or just keep working sideways, and this thing actually turns higher again. And that could just be the, people squaring up at the end of the day. Um, or it could be people buying in expecting it to go higher tomorrow. I don't know. But you see what it did there. Some more buying came in. Usually it would be the opposite of what today. If it was a big up day, you'd see a little selling there as people squared up, and if it was a big down day, you'd see some buying. But we're closing into buying, and it continues to buy. So it's kind of a different day there. Um, but there it is. Decent trading day, not the best. The trades were spread out for a change. Really, the middle of the day was kind of quiet, really from about 11 o'clock to noon. It was really kind of quiet there, and then it kind of picked back up again. So decent trading day. Plenty of trades there to find your 2 or 3 trades a day. So hope you had a good trading day. I'm not going to, there's not much else you can say about today. It's just 2 legs up to a new high. Does that mean we've had 2 legs of correction? Now we'll turn down? I don't know. We'll have to see what tomorrow brings. But just remember, follow the price action. The chart doesn't lie. The price action is always, the context of that chart is always king. Remember, just a reminder, we're not pattern traders. If you start looking for these patterns, you'll see them all over the place, and they'll look just alike, but they'll act totally different. So you cannot trade the patterns. You have to learn to understand the context of the chart, and you need to know the rules that we're following, and the rules are just based on price action movements. Prices do not move to common sense. And so all of us have a common sense level that we've used all our lives, and it's been reinforced. Normally, when you use common sense, you get rewarded for it, and you reinforce that over the years, so you come to trust it. But prices on a chart, price action, they do not move to common sense, and so you'll want to use your common sense. And so that's why you have to learn the rules of how prices move. And really, there's no set of rules. We just drew up a set of rules to help you understand what prices are going to do, and that's what kind of helps you learn to read the chart. So that's kind of the gist of how we do this, is we have these rules that we follow that are price action compliant and not common sense compliant. Because again, if you try to trade this market using common sense, you will get eaten alive. You'll never. I mean, you hear some stories about these people that come in and they lose every trade, and they decide, I'm going to be contrary to every thought I have, and they start doing that, and they start making money. Well, the reason is because they're going against their common sense, and because their common sense prices don't move to, and it creates more success for them. But that's just throwing darts at a board as well. Eventually, that's going to catch up to you. You got to learn to read this chart. You've got to learn to understand what prices are doing and why they're doing it. And that's what we're trying to teach you here. So anyway, hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.